Hello! Welcome to this YouTube channel about gardening, permaculture, and climate change and food security. Today, I just kind of wanted to riff on an idea that I've been kicking around and thinking a lot about, especially in terms of just me learning more about food security and climate change and what we're all supposed to do about it, what my own place in that is, and how we can actually survive moving forwards, maybe even thrive if that's possible. But really, I just wanted to sort of pitch an idea to think about our communities and thinking through the lens of community. I think, obviously, there's a lot of resources and videos out about permaculture and homesteading and self-sufficiency. And, I get it. I get the pull towards those ideas. And at various points in my life, I've also really wanted to pursue those things. But I think it's sometimes a bit of misdirection away from actual solutions. This idea that one person or one family can become wholly self-sufficient. While that may be possible, I think the question that I've been really struggling with is that preferred? Is that the way that we should do things? Just because our current systems aren't serving us, I don't think that necessarily means that we need to disconnect from each other entirely. Although, as romantic as those ideas of living off-grid are, I also think that there's other ways we can prepare our communities and work together in ways in which we're not having to be solely reliant on ourselves. Also, self-reliance excludes a huge number of people. That's assuming that you're able-bodied and, have enough independent wealth to actually be self-sufficient. There's a huge capital cost and just upfront cost to having a homestead or buying property or especially running a farm. And again, these are all ideas that I have certainly held at some point or even desires of mine. So I'm not trying to blame anyone or shame anyone for wanting to pursue those things, especially in a world where there's so many systems that haven't served us. So a few questions that I've been thinking about and things that I think we can ask ourselves in terms of our own gardens and our own communities, our neighborhoods, is what are the current needs? Who's living in your neighborhood, and do you know what people might need? I think a lot of times, especially ideas around permaculture, we like to jump into solutions-based work. We don't always do a proper needs assessment of what are the current, can you do a SWOT analysis, like the strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities. So just, again, asking ourselves, what's possible in my community? What do people need? And starting from that point rather than, let's create a community food garden or let's create a community farm. Those ideas might be great and really necessary, but those might not be the only things that are possible for solving problems. And there might be low-hanging fruit, if you'll excuse the pun, that you can actually address as a community. So thinking about reaching out to your neighbors, finding the other gardeners, people who are interested in growing food, seeing what work is maybe already happening, but also asking questions to people who live in your area about what would they like to see and what do they need. I think this also creates a lot of opportunities for us to think about food security and where our food comes from. I don't think realistic to think that the average person or most people would be able to grow all of their own food. However, if you have communities that are growing food together and using especially urban spaces in interesting and innovative ways, that it's sort of the many hands makes work light. Wow. Struggling today, folks. The more people, the better. The more people you have helping out with something, I think the more likely you are to achieve some success. And then you also have a sense of ownership and community around that thing. And it's not just, hey, I've created this amazing farm, come buy all my amazing produce. That definitely serves a role in terms of community and food security. But I think there's other ways we can think about sharing our hopes and dreams and the products of what we grow as well, and not just in terms of thinking about all in terms of a business plan. Anyway, I just wanted to throw this out there to people to think about. There's lots of great resources. I've put a few video links in the description, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about what community-steading in your area would look like.